I love the question. What difference does the Comptroller's office make to young people, make to our students? One way to think about the Comptroller is it's our job to take the long-term view, and that means what's a city look like that works for people who are high school students right now? We did not see the COVID crisis coming, and we're paying in the cost of tens of thousands of our neighbors' lives, but we can all see the climate crisis coming, and it will be devastating to our city and to young people and to your neighborhoods, and especially to frontline communities and communities of color. If we don't take action, the Comptroller's office can make sure we divest pension funds from fossil fuels, invest that money in clean energy, put pressure on companies to get right with climate and make plans now. I've got a great plan to build 25,000 rooftop solar installations through a plan called Public Solar NYC. Municipally owned clean energy will make New York City a leader across the planet. The Comptroller's office is a place to focus the attention of New Yorkers on the climate crisis, so we build a city that works for you.
Hello to the New York chapter of State of the Students. My name is Senator Brian Benjamin, and I'm a candidate for New York City Comptroller. The question is, who is the best candidate for young people? As one of the youngest candidates running in this race, I can tell you that I understand personally the needs and the desires of the next generation. I know that we want to have more opportunities for entrepreneurship, more opportunities to be invested in our small businesses, and that is one of the things that the Comptroller can do with the $250 billion that the Comptroller manages on behalf of the retirees. I also know that we desperately need more affordable housing. People are coming home from college, graduating, and they need a place to stay. The Comptroller can deliver that, and we also need to be kept safe. I want to make sure that we audit the police and we ensure that they are providing public safety without terrorizing or brutalizing any of our citizens. That's the kind of leadership that I will provide as your next Comptroller, and I look forward for your support.
Everyone, I'm Corey Johnson, the Speaker of the New York City Council, and I'm running to be our city's next Comptroller. As the youngest candidate in this race, I'm always excited to see young people engage in local government. I actually got my start in politics as a young activist on behalf of tenants' rights and New Yorkers like myself who are part of the LGBTQ community. I joined my local community board at the age of 23 and became the youngest head of a community board in the city at that time at 29 years old. And since then, I've been fighting to make sure our city is a great place to live right now and for future generations to come. I pushed through historic climate action on the New York City Council to make sure our city is doing our part to aggressively tackle the climate crisis. And as Comptroller, I'll audit the NYPD every year to increase accountability, and I'll fight to make our city more just and equitable by supporting minority and women-owned businesses to make sure young people have a fair shot to pursue their dreams in our great city, because it's personal to me. I moved to New York at 19 years old with just 2 bags and not much to my name, and I want to make sure that your generations and all future New Yorkers can do the same. So thanks to your involvement, and remember to vote on June 22nd.
Hi, my name is Terry Lifton, and I'm running to be New York City's next Comptroller. I am the best Comptroller candidate for young people in this race because I have the experience, expertise, and integrity needed. We are navigating a nascent recovery, and an important part is creating jobs for young people. You are our future. As Comptroller, I will fight to make sure our schools are adequately funded. I will encourage employers to hire qualified graduates from city universities and provide internships to current students. I will ensure that our tech and life sciences sectors hire local talent so we achieve real upward mobility for New York City graduates. Finally, I'm committed to strengthening our trade schools to elevate the status of vocational professionals like electricians and carpenters. These jobs won't be outsourced to another country nor done by a computer. I will focus on the future, and that is you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Caruso Cabrera. I'm running to be the next Comptroller of New York City. First, let me say how amazing it is to see young New Yorkers really actively engaged in the political process. It's important because the decisions that are made by policymakers today, they are going to shape the direction of the city that you inherit. From the Black Lives Matter movement, climate change, marriage equality, trans rights, to gun violence, all us adults, we have seen the real impact that youth here in New York and in America have had in making our city and our country a really better place for all of us. Turning to this election that's coming up right now and why I'm the best candidate to represent and serve young New Yorkers as the next comptroller. Before entering politics, I was a journalist. I was the editor of my high school paper. I was the editor of my college paper at Wellesley College. And then for 30 years, I was a television reporter and producer, first at Univision, that's the Spanish language news network, and then at CNBC, where I was the chief international correspondent. I've covered financial crises all over the world. Here's what I've seen time and time again. The people who were left behind before the crisis, they suffer the most during the crisis, and then they get left behind again during the recovery. I see that happening here in New York City, and I don't want that to happen again. That's why I'm running. I believe it's time for a change. Enough of the political insiders who got us into this mess. A lot of people think the comptroller's job is this boring accounting job. It's actually very cool. The comptroller is the city's top financial watchdog. It's his or her job to hold the mayor, the city council, and the city agencies accountable, making sure the money that they spend on the programs that they champion are actually delivering on the results and the promises that they make to you, the voters. I have decades of experience following the money, asking the hard questions about how it's being spent. And you could say I have spent my entire career preparing to be comptroller. I have the experience, the skill set, also the independence necessary to really take full advantage of the powers and the responsibilities of the office. As comptroller, I will answer only to you. Thank you so much. For those of you who can vote, I would be honored to have your vote. For those who can't, please visit my website, mccforny.com, and follow me on Insta and Twitter and Facebook. Thanks so much.
My name is Zac Carreras, and I would be, in fact, I am the best candidate by far for this job, as I have many years of experience on the street, Wall Street, where performance counts. I'm not there by being party to being a nice guy. I make people cash, wealth. I plan to bring that approach to the city, which is where I grew up from, in a family of hardworking immigrants, and hardworking and being in a regulated environment, you have to produce. It's made me who I am, as the role of the New York City Comptroller, and credentials that my opponents thereof do not have. That's why I am the most qualified by far to oversee a budget this great of a city. You gotta understand, it's about experience, Wall Street experience. I lived here, schooled here, my people, the people of New York City. It's all about safety, public safety, bringing jobs back, bringing tourism back, ethical investments, paying attention to civil rights and social justice. These are the things that are important for my city. Thank you. Dabby Carreras. Vote Dabby. New York City Comptroller.
Hey everybody, so I'm Zac Isakson, and here's why I think I'll be the best comptroller for young people. First off, I'm incredibly concerned about the effects this year will have on youth. Lost loved ones, including friends, lost jobs, lost schooling. This will have long-term impacts on education, mental health, economics, security, future development. The best way to help is by getting you back together with your teachers for in-person learning. We know from real-world examples here in New York and other places that we can do that safely and with the needs of your families in mind. Secondly, I want the city to prioritize opportunities to help young people re-socialize, rebuild routines and relationships, to catch up on lost learning, especially starting this summer. As comptroller, I'm going to do everything I can to ensure there's summer youth programming available to all New York City kids, from sports to the arts, job opportunities to summer school, and other fun out-of-school activities. This is really important. Lastly, because I'm running to ensure New York City has the best possible future for our youth, I promise we'll keep finding ways to divest from fossil fuels, finding ways to make sure that we are improving our environment and fighting climate change. Thanks for listening, and if you're 18 years old, by June 22nd, I hope you'll vote for me. Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm State Senator Kevin Parker, and I'm running for New York City Comptroller because I'm a real New Yorker just like you. Born and raised in the Bushwick Projects, gone to public school my entire life and have spent almost 30 years working in public service. Everything from the state assembly to the city council, worked for the first Governor Cuomo, worked for the state comptroller and on Wall Street at Payne Weber. And then had an opportunity to work in the New York State Senate. And for 18 years, I've been on the Finance Committee, Banking Committee, Insurance Committee, and either as the ranking Democrat or the chairman of the Energy and Telecommunications Committee. I think both my educational experience, my work experience, and the leadership that I have shown, passing over 70 bills, making them law in the state of New York, and becoming one of the most accomplished legislators in the history of Albany. And now, our city needs help. Our city is recovering from a pandemic where we have been threatened by both our lives and our livelihoods. And I'm looking forward to having an equitable recovery where we have an economic equity forum where we bring people together to help make decisions on how the city moves forward. So on June 22nd, I want your vote. And if not your first vote, then maybe your second and your third choice vote. Either way, I'll see you on election day. And in the meantime, you can follow me at kevinparker2021.com. Thank you.
Thank you, State of the Student New York, for having me and for your civic activism. My name is Reshma Patel, and I am the best comptroller candidate for young people because I understand that young people are not a monolith. Through my volunteer work, I have seen that the needs and lived experiences of young people across our city are different. As your comptroller, I want to build a new economy focused on equity and inclusion, and one that creates sustainable jobs for you. I want to invest in infrastructure that prepares us for climate change and is resilient not just to 2050, which is the current plan, but to 2100. Because I may not be here then, but perhaps you will. And in planning our city's budget, I want to look beyond the 4-year financial plan so that we're not leaving behind a situation where you're stuck with the bill. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alex Pan, and I am the youngest candidate in this race for comptroller. I believe that I am the best candidate for young people because I am one. I'm myself a recent graduate of New York City Public High Schools, and one of our top priorities in this race is to desegregate our high schools. I mean, getting rid of the SHSAT Specialized High Schools Admissions Test, and making sure that there's quality access to education for all New Yorkers, broadband access for all, and making sure that we are spending efficiently, especially when we look at charter schools and making sure that students with disabilities have access. We're also looking at police reform, at making sure that our city's debt is at manageable levels so that our generation does not have to suffer the consequences of it. This is a critical moment in our city, and I believe that I'm the best one to lead. Thank you.